Hi, I'm Phyllis, southernfrugal.com. This morning we're going to make some cinnamon biscuits. Now, yesterday, coming home from church, we decided to stop at Bojangle's and get some of their pulled pork barbecue. And it was pretty good. And so while we were sitting there, I just said, well, let's try one of their cinnamon biscuits. So they had them on sale, 2 for $2.99. So we got them. Brought them home, and they were delicious. So I wanted to see if I could copy their recipe. I mean, I don't know what their recipe is, but we're going to see if we can make a good copy of them. And I'm going to make a whole pan of them and hope they turn out right. All right, so we're ready to get it going here. All right, so to start with, I'm going to make that little cinnamon filling that goes on top. So this is 1 stick of butter, or 1/2 cup, and it's somewhat at room temperature. So to that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. I know that sounds like a lot. I'm adding 6 tablespoons of confectionary sugar. And then we're going to start out with 1 tablespoon of self-rising flour. We're just going to mix that up and see what we've got, because that butter is not soft at all because it's kind of cold in my kitchen. So hold on, I'm going to put it in the microwave for just about maybe 10 seconds. Hold on. Alright, I ended up putting it in the microwave for about 16 seconds, and let's see if that worked. I believe it did. Just slightly melting that butter. So we're just going to mix all that together. And this is going to be the little cinnamon top that goes on top of the biscuits. Yeah, that definitely worked to soften it up. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and use 1 more tablespoon of the self-rising flour, just to make it a little bit better consistency. Alright, so this is that little cinnamon topper that's going to go on the biscuits. Alright, so there it is. Don't worry about lumps or anything, because they will definitely come out when these are cooked. Alright, so we're going to set this aside and hope it doesn't get hard because it's a little cool in my kitchen. Alright, so now we're ready to make the biscuits. And so what I'm using is the Daily Bread self-rising flour, just because I super like this flour. Now, I don't know if you can get this flour all over the country or not, but I think you can probably get it in the South. It comes from North Carolina, and it's made with that soft winter wheat. So white lily flour would probably work too, but just make sure you get self-rising. All right, so what I did was right out of the bag, I dipped just using 1 cup of flour now. And so I've got a total of 3 cups in my little sifter. And now it's going to measure more than 3 cups if you sifted it first, but this is not a cake, it's biscuits. So anyway, it's 3 cups just dipped right out of the bag of flour. And this has already got the salt and the baking powder right in it. And all we're doing is sifting it to make it a little more light and airy. So again, that's 3 cups just dipped directly out of the bag of flour and then sifted. Okay, just got a few little harder things in there. Alright, so now to this we're going to add the butter. So let me get it out of the refrigerator. Now I've also got 1 1/4 cups of whole milk buttermilk. Alright, so this is a 1/2 stick of butter that's been shredded. Oops, sorry. on my little grater there, yeah. And I put it back in the refrigerator after I grated it. Now you've got to use your hands on this. There's just kind of no other way to really do it. All right, so I've got the butter in, and now I'm just going to mix it in with my hands until it kind of becomes like a crumb with the flour and everything. So this is going to take me a couple of minutes. We'll be back when I'm ready. All right, be right back. All right, so I actually used both my hands just to make this go a lot faster. So now we're ready to add the buttermilk, and we're going to just put at least a whole cup in right to start with. Just dump it right in and mix it up. Now you want to do this part very quickly. Okay, I can already tell I'm going to need the rest of that and maybe a little more. Yeah, we're going to need more buttermilk, so it's going to be more like 1.5 cups. So you can do this with one hand. All right. Whole milk buttermilk. Now if you don't have this, you can make your own by adding about 1/3 cup of sour cream to regular whole milk, in that order to do it. All right, so we're going to dump that in. Now everything is very cold. Put just a little more in. All right. All right, I'm going to finish getting this mixed up. We'll be right back. I'm going to put it out on some wax paper. All right, we dumped the biscuit dough out. I'm just going to turn it a couple of times. You want to use some wax paper and put a lot of flour down on that. And flour on top of your little biscuit mix. Now we're going to mash this out, and I want it thinner than a regular biscuit. Y'all just have to trust me on that. Better, thinner. So a little less than 1/2 inch is probably what's going to work. And I think this is a 2.5 inch biscuit cutter. And again, I'm mashing it out to less than 1/2 inch. And I put a little extra flour over here on the corner, so each time I can just put my biscuit cutter in it so everything doesn't stick. All right, so we've got a large baking sheet. I'm gonna have to clean my hands, so hold on. All right, so now we're ready to cut these out. I got my hands clean and my bowl is soaking that I mixed the biscuits up in. And so now we're gonna cut them out. Now we're gonna place them on a well-greased pan. And the oven is preheated to 450 degrees, and these are probably going to cook for 10 to 15 minutes. But I've made them thinner than regular biscuits, so we're just going to cut them out now and place them right on there. I'm going to do them 3 across on the pan. Like that. All right, let me get these all cut out and we'll be back. All right, so I had this much dough left over that I've got 15 biscuits in the pan, so I'm just going to smooth this out and just press it down into a regular, this is just a cake pan, and I'll bake this, my oven's small, so I'll bake this after the other biscuits get done. And we usually like this kind of bread with soup. And I cut it into little pie shape with the pizza cutter, actually. So we'll just mash that out because we don't want to waste it. And I mean, it's good biscuit dough. It really is. All right, so we're going to put this in the refrigerator. And when the other biscuits get done, we'll cook that. All right. So now we're ready to put in the center of these biscuits, the cinnamon mixture. And it stayed pretty pliable. So what I'm going to do is use my spoon Just using, this is a 1.5 tablespoons. I'm just going to use that. And just dip it down in that flour and mash a big hole in the middle, kind of all the way to the bottom, but not all the way through these biscuits, right like that. Make a good indentation there. And each time just dip your bottom of your spoon in the flour mixture so it doesn't stick. This one's a little bigger down here at this end because I had to re-roll it and it came out a little thicker. All right, so now we're ready to put the cinnamon mixture in. So I'm just going to go with like a good teaspoon right down in the middle of each one. It's a right large amount, really. Now this buttery, cinnamony mixture is going to kind of seep through that biscuit all the way down to the bottom. And then you're going to have a crusty bottom, very buttery, and hopefully they'll be delicious. I think this is going to work out pretty good. Right down in the middle. That one's got a little too much, and so does that one. I'm going to get one more spoonful out of this. Now hopefully the biscuit's going to rise up above this and it'll stay in the middle. This one that doesn't have much. All right, we're ready to put these in the oven. They'll go in, again, the oven is preheated to 450 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes, just until they start getting brown, and you definitely want them brown on the bottom. All right, when these get done, we'll be back and make the little icing that's going to go on them. All right, I just took the biscuits out of the oven, and some of them ran over a little bit, so we're going to have to make an adjustment to the recipe on the cinnamon little topping part. But anyway, we're going to brush these now with a little bit of melted butter, just to make them really soft. That'll just make the biscuits even softer. Just brushing a little bit around the outside edge. Now we're going to make a little icing to drizzle over these, and that's going to be using confectionary sugar, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of butter, and a little bit of milk, just regular plain whole milk. Use up all this. Alright, so now we're ready to make the icing that's going to go on these, or the little, we're just going to make it a drizzle. So I've got about a tablespoon of butter in this pot, and I'm going to heat it up a little bit. Then to that butter, I'm going to add just a couple of teaspoons of honey, and that's to prevent the little drizzling icing from turning or crystallizing. And I'm going to get the milk out. Hold on. So this is just regular whole milk. I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. It's probably about 2 tablespoons. And we're going to put some, make sure that's warm, just barely warm. And we'll cut my burner off. And we're just going to put the confectionery sugar in. And I'm going to guess now and say that's a little more than half a cup. We're going to drizzle in a little bit of vanilla. That's probably half a teaspoon. Just mix that up. Use my whisk for this. Remember, we just want it to drizzle over the biscuits, and of course they're still warm. So we're just going to get the lumps out of this. And it looks a little tan color because I put the vanilla in. Alright, that's most of the lumps out. Now we're just going to drizzle it over the biscuits. Get another spoon here. Just take a little spoonful. Let's turn up. Let me let you watch while I do the biscuits. And we'll try not to get this on my stove. So I'm going to get a spoonful and just drizzle right over the top of them. It's easier to do this when this little icing is warm. I'll use it all. Some of them might have a little more than others. Alright. These are going to be very buttery, which I love. Alright, now see the icing's getting a little hard now because it's cooling off, so. Alright, there they are. I think they look pretty much like the Bojangle biscuits, only I am going to make an adjustment to the recipe for the cinnamon part that goes down in the middle. Just a little bit of an adjustment, and then I'll list it down below in the video. Alright, we're going to let these cool for a minute and then we're going to give them a taste. Alright, it's time to taste of these. I can't wait. You can actually pick them up. They're lightly browned on the bottom. Very buttery. They're better than Bojangles, y'all. They really are. Super delicious. Now, hold on. They're still warm. Mr. Bucky's got one. These are very buttery. And no surprise because they've got a lot of butter in them. So what I'm going to do is adjust the recipe. I'm going to leave it down below. And I'm going to adjust the cinnamon part because I think it needs less butter and just a little bit more of the flour in it so it doesn't run off the biscuit. But anyway, the icing y'all saw me make it, it's just to drizzle over it. And I think what Bojangles does when they make the biscuits, they have the biscuits and then when somebody orders them, they drizzle it over it because in the little container it had a lot of the icing in the bottom of it. So I think they don't do that till somebody orders one. Anyway, I'm going to list it, the adjusted recipe right down below. And if y'all make these, y'all let me know. I think these would be great for Christmas, really great. Even like Christmas Eve, they would be great. All right, y'all. So we will see y'all next time. Bye for now.